Ma'am, thank you so much for finding out time to do this interview. In fact, yesterday we saw your post on X, and in which you have called the visit of Khalistani supporting artists and musicians as an insult to legislature. They were in fact invited to British Columbia's assembly. Talk to us a little bit about what happened in the house, and in fact, Jazzy B was sitting on the chair of one of the members. In fact, those were the photos which he posted on his social media handle. Talk to us a little bit about it. Perhaps on one end, there is a huge support in, if not in whole of Canada, especially in British Columbia, for these artists, those who back Khalistani movement. On the other end, there are members like you, politicians like you in Canada, perhaps, who call it an insult to legislature. Talk to us a little bit about what happened yesterday and your position on this particular development.
Okay, well, thanks for having me. Yeah, on Wednesday, several members of our legislature, elected officials from both major parties here in British Columbia, welcomed some individuals from the music industry into the House. And these musicians have proudly endorsed the Khalistani movement. And there were some artists here who have actually featured notorious Khalistani extremists in their music videos.
Yeah.
And these people have very openly glorified murderers, terrorists in these music videos. And that's not acceptable to have these things. It's not a good place to be celebrating this. Glorifying this kind of thing in the legislature of British Columbia is not what we need or want here.
Ma'am, also, a larger question here is that these were the elected representatives. Perhaps 8 of the members, gave a shout out to these artists and musicians in the House. Perhaps an elected representatives in Canada are endorsing people, those who openly support gun culture, extremism in their videos. Perhaps on the taxpayers' money, they were welcomed in the assembly. They were given a red carpet welcome. In fact, they were allowed to sit on the chair of the member. Perhaps that chair holds a lot of responsibility. It comes with a lot of responsibility and trust. If the public, the people show trust on you, and these artists were allowed to sit on that chair.
I think that what needs to happen here is, I'm sure that not all these elected officials are saying that they're in favor of what was in these videos. I'm not saying that, but I think that they should have done more research and thought more carefully about what they're doing, bringing people who openly do these things in music videos. That is not okay, and it's unacceptable. And I think these members need to go back and think about what they've done here, who they actually invited into the legislature. I'm not saying that everybody who was there that day was a pro-Khalistani person, but there definitely were these people who are very open about their support for this movement in their videos, and for these glorifying these people who have done terrible, terrible things, murders, terrorists, and so on. And so, we have a duty as public officials to be very careful about the people that we bring into the House and do our research. And perhaps this will be a time for reflection for some of these people.
Are you at your level, perhaps going to raise this issue in the House, or perhaps to take this issue, forward, so that in future such elements are not invited to the Assembly?
I will definitely be taking that under consideration. This was a situation that took me by surprise. I sit as an independent in the legislature of BC. I'm not part of either of the major parties, but this was brought to my attention, and I was like, that's not okay. It's not acceptable for this to be happening in our legislature. And I would hope that we can review this. And yes, I will be pushing to ensure that this kind of thing does not happen again.
Okay. Ma'am, how do you look at growing influence of Khalistanis in Canadian systems? When I call it a system, then it is not just about the politics or a political party. It has to do with the businesses, private sector, policing, other various departments of the government. They have deeply invested into the systems, and whoever is in power perhaps come under their influence. How do you look at this particular problem existing in the Canadian society and perhaps growing with each passing year?
Okay, well, and a lot of people, a lot of Canadians, not just me, and many Canadians across all ethnic groups are becoming alarmed at the number of people coming here and using this as a launch pad for grievances that they have from history, from other countries and so on. And they come here and use this as a place to lobby for something that's going on back in their own history and their own grievances from the past. That is not what Canada's for. And I'm here mainly for British Columbia, but we need to have people coming here who want to be part of British Columbia invest here and be part of this one society here, because we have a lot of work to do here. We can't be breaking up into these different groups fighting for this and that. I really believe that we need to start leaving some of these historical grievances behind. Let's move forward. It's not helping our society. It's not good for the young people who are following these musicians. This isn't helping them to celebrate a successful future here in British Columbia. And it's not helpful to BC. We want prosperity here. We want people to move forward. Just like in India, we don't need this kind of bringing these things forward
Yeah.
constantly. These are past grievances that need to be left in the past. It is not helping people today. And that's our big concern. And, welcoming people like this right into the legislature is not acceptable to me.
Ma'am, also, last time around when Prime Minister was Justin Trudeau, in fact, a political party backed by these elements held the entire Canadian government hostage for more than 2 years. Perhaps that one party had full influence over Prime Minister Trudeau's decision making, his government's decision making, and which also led to the decline in relations with country like India. Now, do you see there could be a change in the approach of the new Canadian government towards India? Perhaps there have been signaling also by this new government, as none of these elements have been given key ministries in this new government. So can we look at a possibility of a complete shift in the approach of this new government as far as this Khalistani menace is concerned, and also towards its approach for India?
This is a great question. I do believe the policies of the Trudeau government were disastrous in this regard. Uh, he has allowed movements to foment in this country that are becoming extremely dangerous, extremely dangerous.
Yeah.
We've never seen this kind of thing in Canada before, not like this. And these movements are growing and burgeoning. And so now we've got a new government in Canada, new
Yeah.
federal government, it's true, but it's the same party. And the new leader took over from Justin Trudeau. His name is Mark Carney. And I hope that he will take this more seriously and deal with this. I'm really hoping that he will take an opportunity to look at this carefully and say, we can't allow this to continue. It's getting dangerous, and Canada has to be a place where people feel safe and that everybody's accepted, and that we have people here pulling for Canada. I mean, we have big problems in this country, big problems. Our GDP is dropping like a stone. We're not
Yeah.
doing well here. And our industry is not taking off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In these times, country like Canada needs country like India. There needs to be a good partnership, good relationship between the two countries.
Yes, we
Having
do.
said
We
that,
do.
having said that, there is also a scope for a trade deal between the two countries. Perhaps Mr. Trudeau got everything derailed under the influence of NDP and Khalistanis. But perhaps since Canada is going through through a rough patch as far as economy is concerned, and Mr. Carney has promised his people to bring the economy back on track, and for that he needs partners like India. But what's happening, ma'am? That the other day, Foreign Minister Anita Anand spoke to Minister Jay Shankar, and perhaps Foreign Minister Anita Anand was trolled by Khalistanis. And she was trolled for thanking Jay Shankar on social media platform for initiating calls and discussing the bilateral relationship between the two countries. How do you look at such bullying and trolling by the Khalistani groups?
It's completely unhealthy for our country, and it's going to be damaging to our ability to do business with India. Wouldn't it be great to have an incredible union of joining forces with a country like India? Wow. I mean, this is one of the world's biggest democracy. It's an incredible country, industrious people, smart people with, highly educated. We have so much to gain from a positive and healthy relationship with a country like India. And we need that relationship, but we are damaging ourselves if we continue to allow groups that are, pushing for this kind of thing in our country. We need to stop that. And I think government officials at all levels need to take a really hard look at what they're supporting here. I can't tell them what to do. I'm an independent politician here in British Columbia, which is one of the provinces of Canada. And so the federal government has its own decisions to make, but I would really hope that Mark Carney looks really carefully at this file. This is a file that needs very careful attention, and I can't speak for him though. I can't. I speak for my hopes for British Columbia, and I was alarmed at what happened the other day, and I will hope that other elected officials here in BC will look at this carefully again and be much more careful.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for joining us here on CNN News 18.
All right, thank you for having me. Okay, have a good day.